Hey there, House here. Just like that, week 2 of the NFL is upon us. Last week, I went a miserable 6-9-1. Normally, this is the time where I tell you what my win percentage is, but when the number is this low, I find it hard to classify it as a win percentage. Instead, I'm just going to roll right through my week 2 picks. Let's get started. First up on Thursday Night Football, we have the Chiefs versus the Chargers. Now, tonight's game should be a bit more evenly matched than last week's matchup. The Chiefs will be a tough out regardless, but if somebody's able to do it, it's going to be Justin Herbert and these Chargers. Their offense can sling the ball downfield like the Chiefs, but they can also control the clock with a well-established run game. I'm picking the Chargers tonight. Next up, we have the Steelers versus the Patriots. Now, something to monitor is Mac Jones earlier in the week popped up on the injury report after having x-rays on his back. They came back negative, but it is something to monitor. He also missed today's practice due to an illness. So even though he will more than likely play on Sunday, he probably won't be 100%. Pairing that against Mitch Trubisky and the boys, who played pretty well last week against the Bengals, I'm picking the Steelers. Next up, we have the Giants versus the Panthers. Last week, Saquon Barkley came up big and ran all over the Titans. On the flip side, Baker Mayfield had a less than impressive debut for the Panthers. Also, McCaffrey struggled mightily in that game. I think the Giants can pull off another surprise win with another big game from Barkley. I'm going Giants. Browns versus the Jets. The Jets look bad under Joe Flacco and will continue to do so with him at the helm. Zach Wilson has been limited during practice, so there's no guarantee that he'll be able to play and make his debut this week. The Browns, on the other hand, ran all over the Panthers, and I'm expecting a big game out of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Picking the Browns here. We have the Jaguars versus the Colts. The Jaguars played pretty well last week, at least a lot better than I thought they would. The Colts also played well enough to win, and they will more than likely play well enough to win this week if they give the ball to Taylor. I'm picking the Colts. Next, we have the Ravens versus the Dolphins. Last week, Tua came out and played very well in his first game with Tyreek Hill. Their defense also stepped up and helped seal the win against the Patriots. The Ravens also played well, but they played well against a bad Jets team. If they aren't up to the caliber that we all expect them to be at, they'll get upset by this Dolphin team. I'm picking the Dolphins. Saints versus the Bucks. For whatever reason, the Saints seem to have Brady's number ever since he joined the Bucks. Brady is a surprising 0-4 against the Saints since he joined over to the NFC 2 years ago. Another thing going the Saints' way is that they found their form last week in the second half. So if they're able to pair that against Brady's bad luck against them, I'm picking the Saints. Next, we have the Lions versus the Commanders. The Lions came out and played very well on offense, but they also couldn't stop anybody on defense. I think that'll continue to happen this week when they play the Commanders. I'm picking the Commanders. 49ers versus the Seahawks. Trey Lance looked bad last week against the Bears, and I don't expect that to change right away. Geno Smith, on the other hand, played really well against the Broncos at home. It'll be a little bit different test with him going on the road, but I think he's got at least one more game in him to be effective before he begins to struggle. I'm picking the Seahawks. Rams versus the Falcons. The Rams opened up the season just about as bad as defending Super Bowl champs could. Their opponents, the Falcons, almost surprised the Saints last week, but in true Falcon form, they blew it at the end. So with that in mind, I'm picking the Rams. Next, we have the Raiders versus the Cardinals. Outside of Devontae Adams, the Raiders' offense looked pretty rough. I think that'll change a bit against this Cardinals defense that really had a hard time stopping anyone last week. I'm picking the Raiders here. Broncos versus the Texans. Last week, the Texans were fortunate to force a tie against the Colts. They won't be so fortunate this week. I'm picking the Broncos. All right, we have the Cowboys versus the Bengals. Now, pair the Bengals, who need a win, going against a backup quarterback that just has one start under his belt, spells disaster for the Cowboys. I'm picking the Bengals here. For our Sunday night matchup, we have the Packers versus the Bears. Now, nobody looked worse on offense last week than the Packers. Fortunately for them, they get to play the Bears on Sunday Night Football, which they usually show up against their NFC North rivals. I'm picking the Pack here. And for Monday, we have a 2-game slate. First up is the Bills versus the Titans. It's hard to believe that the Bills will turn the ball over this week as much as they did last week, so that doesn't bode well for the Titans. I'm picking the Bills in this one. The other game is the Eagles versus the Vikings. Last week, to my surprise, the Eagles came out and accomplished nearly anything and everything on the football field except for playing defense. If their offense can perform at that level while Devontae Smith is still left without a catch, they'll be tough to beat once he starts playing his game. I'm picking the Eagles in this matchup. Well, there you have it. Those are my picks. Thank you for tuning into the House Report. If there were some selections that I made that you disagree with, please leave your own picks in the comment section. Lastly, to all my betting friends out there, remember, you win some and you lose some, but the house always wins.